Welcome back to another episode of the Optimal Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Sean McCormick. I do a number of different things in addition to, recording this and sending this out to the world every single week. I'm in 94 countries, a top 0.5% podcast in the world. For some reason, Sweden really loves me, which is cool. This episode is a solo show. And as you know, if you've been listening for years and years and 517 episodes, you know that I typically do interviews with people that I find fascinating. Fascia, herbs, gut health, conspiracies, parasites, hormones, biohacking equipment. That's the bread and butter is the interviews. But today I'm doing a solo show dedicated specifically to the unveiling of something that I'm very proud of, which is dry fasting with friends. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you will know that I did my first dry fast last summer. I first learned about dry fasting and first even heard about it from Dr. John Jaquish, the creator of OsteoStrong and the X3 bar. He was recently on television. He's on TV all the time. And he was telling me that when he prepares for photo shoots, he does dry fasting. I think he said he did 3 or 5 day dry fasts. And I was like, what do you mean dry fast? And he said, 3-5 days, no food, no water. And I thought, well, that doesn't seem safe. Everybody knows that if you go 3 days without water, you'll die. And he's like, no, it's been around for a long time. It's something that really works me, helps me shred. It's really good for my system and for my cells. It's good for my gut. It's good for all these different things, but it kind of went in one ear and out the other. Now, fast forward to this last July when I decided that I was going to do my first dry fast. My motivation for doing the dry fast was because I wanted an edge. I want to live a long time. I want to have a long health span. I want to be happy and healthy. I want to look youthful. I want to move youthful. I want to sleep well. And so I decided I read the Phoenix Protocol by August Dunning, which is, in my opinion, a really important text to read if you're interested in dry fasting. And it is exactly that. It is dry fasting. It is no food, consuming zero, no food, no water for 3 or 5 or 7. And in some clinics around the world, 11 days. The benefits are a lot. I mean, I'll definitely get into that. But I read the Phoenix Protocol. I talked one of my friends into it, Greg Anderson, who is a former Ranger police officer. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has his own amazing podcast called Endless Endeavor. And he and his wife joined me on a 5-day dry fast. So having that, accountability partner for that process was really useful because, if he's going to do it with me, that makes it easier for me because I have somebody to share with, to listen to, and to hear the benefits that they've received. I can point you to a couple of podcasts I've already done around dry fasting. Again, if it was referenced back in, I think 2022 with Dr. J. And then again in 2024 in episode 485, Hack Growth Hormone and Muscle Growth in 10 Minutes with Dr. Jaquish Part 1. And then it came up again with my friend Theo, who is my partner in this. He and I built this thing. He loves dry fasting. It had incredible repair for damage on his skin, detoxification from insane exposure to glyphosate as in his childhood, cleaned up some brain injuries that he had from competitive martial arts. And so I had him come onto the podcast, and in episode 489, we talked at length about dry fasting. We talked about detoxification and some of the products, the humic and fulvic products that he has. And then so it kind of came up again. We talked about it a lot. In episode 492 in July of 2024, I spoke about the intention to do this, and I talked a lot about what I went through. I also posted about it extensively on Instagram, multiple times a day, talking to the camera, talking about what I was going through, the struggles that I was having, and then the ultimate benefits that I received, including some really incredible results that I got from enemas, which I don't love to do, but they are powerful, on days 4 and 5, where I released gallstones and parasites, heavy metals that left via my urine. So that's episode 492. I also did another episode 15 days later after I got my blood work back, because I did blood work before and after my 5-day dry fast because I wanted to see, like, is this healthy? Was this healthy for my body? What did it do to my inflammatory markers? What did it do to my hormone markers? So I did a 17 biomarker panel of blood work the day before and the day after my dry fast. And I really should do another one to see how those levels are today. I got 180 point bump in my testosterone just in 5 days. I lost 18 pounds. My physique shifted dramatically, but I did a full dedicated episode, 494. And then I did another episode with my friend Greg, who did the podcast with me on his podcast, Endless Endeavor, where we talk at length about our experience with dry fasting. So here's the deal. I'm already shadow banned. I'm shadow banned everywhere you can be shadow banned. I'm shadow banned on YouTube. I'm shadow banned on Instagram. I'm shadow banned. I believe that my podcast is also being suppressed because a lot of the things that I talk about are not conducive to the sort of Western medical system. Certainly not conducive or supportive of the pharmaceutical industrial complex. I talk about conspiracies. I talk about, the scamdemic. I talk about why masks don't work. And I will continue to, because this is the hill that I'm willing to die on. But it comes with a lot of shadow banning. And it's been confirmed a number of different places, especially on Instagram, that my posts just aren't getting to people. So thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. Thank you for watching on what is this, Facebook Live that I'm sort of simulcasting on. I'm shadow banned on Facebook, and I'm also shadow banned on YouTube, and I've been put in YouTube jail 3 times for various reasons when I talk about things that the man doesn't want to talk about. So again, thank you for being here, and thank you for keeping an open mind. The things that I talk about, the interviews that I have, many of them are provocative, and they go against the grain, especially in the Western world when it comes to health. I talk about things that are supportive to your body's ability to be healthy, to be strong, your own innate immune system, your ability to heal without surgeries, without chemical interventions. And the dry fast is by far, no question about it, the most powerful detox you can do for your body. It is profound. It is profound because when you go without food and water for 3 or 5 or sometimes 7 or sometimes 11 days, no food, no water, you are basically turning off some of the systems that continue to process food and water. So your organs get a break, your digestion gets a break. And what happens is, because you're basically doing a controlled starvation, you are activating a massive intracellular detoxification process. Zombie cells, senescent cells, cancer cells are essentially starved, and they burn up for energy inside your body, and they lead you to essentially a phoenix-like, hence Phoenix Protocol, a phoenix-like rebirth at the cellular level, which is incredibly profound. Now, the hospitals, the doctors, most naturopaths have never heard of this, but this is very popular, and it goes back to the 1700s and even further back into biblical references in the Torah, in the Quran, in the Baha'i faith, in Buddhism. This has always been a thing, but we have just kind of forgotten about this wisdom that we have, that our body has. We were born with. It's our God-given right to be able to heal ourselves. That's not conducive to promotion on social media. In fact, the opposite. It gets me suppressed everywhere. This is not a smart career choice to talk about, dry fasting, because it's not going to be widely supported. But I'm going to keep talking about it because I believe in you. I believe in your body's ability to heal itself. Now, there are some contraindications, and there are some contraindications, some ailments that you might have that you may not want to do dry fasting. One of those is deep vein thrombosis. If you have, really intense varicose veins, you should probably not dry fast. If you are already very slight in frame and you don't have a bunch of weight to lose, you should probably not do this. If you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, if you're under the age of, the Russians say 14, I say 18 years old, you probably shouldn't do this. But this is profound healing that goes back centuries and centuries and centuries. The most fascinating and the most interesting example that you can kind of see and go look at for yourself is August Dunning, the author of the Phoenix Protocol. August took research and translated it from Russian and Italian and sifted through the information and decided to write a book and try dry fasting himself. So if you go to August Dunning's YouTube channel, go watch the oldest video and then work your way up to the most current video. August ages backwards. He Benjamin Buttons. You can see it on his face. You can see it on his eyes. You can see it in his posture and what he talks about. This guy is literally aging backwards because he does, I think, now he does one a year, but I think back then he was doing 2 dry fasts a year. He posts, 4-minute YouTube videos that you can actually go watch his oldest one when he first started to do dry fasting, and he didn't look great for his age. He was, eating a standard American diet, didn't ever do any sort of detoxing, wasn't really into his own personal health, but was doing research on various medical modalities because he came from a medical family and then came into this dry fasting stuff and totally went for it, just like I have. Again, this is not the type of content that is brought to you by Pfizer. It's not that. This is the opposite of that, because I believe in your ability and I believe in my body's ability to heal itself. So you can go back and listen to these episodes that I've already done, but this is a big announcement. We are launching our second Dry Fast with Friends group that's on April 24th to April 29th. This is a 5-day group dry fast. So I want to invite all of you, maybe while you're even listening to this, to go to dryfastwithfriends.com. Theo and I spent tons and tons of time looking at consolidating information around dry fasting to make it user-friendly so you can understand, why would I do this? What do I get out of this? How do I do this safely? What should I eat or drink after this? What should I be doing during to help increase and enhance the results that I'm getting? And it's all in there. It's all at dryfastwithfriends.com. The cool part is that there are a couple of different options for people. I'm willing to place a pretty big bet, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, that this is going to be increasingly popular in the next 3 to 5 years. Most people know what intermittent fasting is. You skip breakfast. Pretty simple. You have coffee. Maybe you want to do bulletproof coffee. It's not really fasting because you're still consuming liquids, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Most people know what dry fasting is. We are coining a new phrase, intermittent dry fasting. There is a fair bit of research, again, that's done from the Russians, and the Russians have studied this stuff for a long time because they don't have the same sort of biomedical, sort of massively funded campaigns to look at chemicals and creating, medicines. They work with what they have, and so they've done research on dry fasting. And when you do 2 dry fasts a week, that's 24 hours or 36 if you're feeling up for it, in conjunction with 6 miles of walking during those dry fasting days, your fat burns at a very high rate. You lose fat quickly. I've begun to experiment with this a little bit. I've only really done 2 of these intermittent dry fasts in addition to the 5-day dry fast that I've done. But it's all there. There's a free resource for you. And it's not quite, if you're doing one day, it is pretty simple. You just don't eat or drink. How you refuel and what you drink when it's time does matter, but that's included in this free offer that we've created for you. And then in addition, so if you just want, hey, I just want the intermittent fasting, dry fasting stuff, I'm not ready for the 3-day or the 5-day. If you just give us your email, we'll send you immediately a 4-page PDF program that's for intermittent dry fasting. And a 47-minute tell-all masterclass video on everything that you need to know for short and long dry fasts. So again, if you go to dryfastwithfriends.com and you say, hey, I just want to kind of stick my toe in the water and learn a little bit more. I want to maybe burn some fat and do, intermittent dry fasting. Cool. No strings attached. Go ahead and do it. There are 2 other programs though that we offer. The first one is a do-it-yourself, a DIY 5-day dry fast. And what you're going to get is a short dry fast guide. You're going to get the 47-minute masterclass video on dry fast where Theo and I go through the incredible benefits that you get from an extended dry fast. Maybe it's 3 days, which is fine. Maybe it's 5 days, which is better, because on the 4th and 5th day of a dry fast, you get stem cells that come from your femurs. Your femurs release stem cells that are what's called pluripotent, which means those stem cells can go become any cells that they need to be. If you need some tongue repair or eye repair, or you have, C-section scars or stretch marks, or you have, brain injuries, those cells will go where they're needed the most. And you get that on day 4 and day 5. And it's the equivalent, so we are pretty sure about this, of like $30,000 or $40,000 worth of stem cells. And if you might be thinking, well, cool, if I wanted to go to Mexico and spend $30,000 or $40,000 on a stem cell treatment, where do those stem cells come from? They come from umbilical cords, from babies. Now, hopefully, the families signed off on the use of their umbilical cords after the birth of their child to be used for stem cells. In my experience and my research, most of the time that is the case. Hopefully that is the case. I won't go any further than that. But those are not yours. Those are exogenous stem cells you're getting from some other person, in this case, an infant's umbilical cord. Wouldn't it be better to get your own stem cells that you have, that you make, that are bioidentical to you, that are immediately usable for you? I think so. Without spending $30,000 or $40,000. So in this do-it-yourself 5-day dry fast program, in addition to the guide, the masterclass video, you get an introduction and prep so that you can do some detoxification beforehand, which is really important. How you prepare for your dry fast and how you exit your dry fast are really, really critical. You want to be able to do some detoxes beforehand to sort of clear the way for the dry fast to get its greatest benefit, so that your body is prepared for this transformation that occurs during this 5 days. You also get program number 4, which is a comprehensive PDF that's really easy to read. Around exiting the fast. Even more important than the fast itself is how you exit the fast. I think it may be obvious, but if you're having a bunch of spaghetti and red wine and bread the night before a 5-day dry fast, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. If you are exiting your fast with orange juice and a bunch of fruit and then a steak later that day, you are really missing the point. And you actually could do some damage to yourself if you don't exit the fast properly. It's really, really important, like to the hour, to drink the right things and to nourish your body with the right types of foods to take advantage of this transformation that you've just done. In addition to this is again program 1, do it yourself 5-day dry fast. You also get an advanced dry fast benefits accelerator guide. These are things that you can do after the dry fast that will help again boost these results. What you don't get with the DIY program is support. So you can't call me, you can't text me, you can't call Theo. We're not going to be available to support you and answer questions. You're gonna find that when you're doing your 5-day dry fast, that you don't feel great. It's hard. That you might get a fever. Your temperature may elevate. You may get some pretty serious brain fog. You may get some pretty serious lethargy and tiredness. Well, having the support of people who are basically on call in program 2, that I'll get to in a second, is important. I mean, doing this with someone who's done this before and doing it with others who are doing it for the first time is really key, because, it takes a community. What you also don't get that community feel, that community support, or direct support from me or Theo. And you also don't get what you get in program 2, which is daily Zoom calls to share and listen and learn about what other people are going through and experiencing. So that program is $197. If you want to do it on your own, you're a lone wolf and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to get the material. I'm going to get the information and I'm just going to do it on my own. You can do that. You know, that's what I did. That's what Theo's done. A lot of people do choose to do that, which is wonderful, but you just don't get the same support. You could read a whole bunch, you could read the books, you could watch the YouTube videos and still not get the same sort of support that you would get from doing it in program 2. Program 2 is done with you 5-day dry fast. So in program 2, done with you, you get all the programs, all the bonuses, you get all the guides, excuse me, from that you get with the do-it-yourself option. You also get unlimited real-time live support from Theo and I on our Telegram channel. So what this looks like is it's 5 o'clock on day 4 and you have a question or you have a concern. We're available to answer those. You also get essentially health coaching for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You get support before, you get support during, and you get support after 3, maybe even a month's worth of health coaching. So we're going to talk about minerals. We'll talk about biohacking equipment. We'll talk about, hacks that you can use to get the most out of your experience and support you if you get into a kind of a tough spot or your, spouse says, this is stupid, you're an idiot, you're going to die. We're here to support you. It happens. And trust me. So you get the unlimited real-time support, live support on our Telegram channel. You get real-time 24/7 group chat, again, on the Telegram channel. So there's other people that are also going through this dry fast together. They may be in Ottawa, they may be in Miami, they may be in Austria or the Philippines. They're going through this at the same time. So you get daily calls every single day of the 5-day dry fast. So we're going to check in, we're going to hold space. Oftentimes I'll do like a guided breath work or guided meditation to help you kind of chill and calm yourself and stick with this process. And what that does is the group dry fasting eliminates the fear and uncertainty and doubt that you're going to get, that you're going to undoubtedly receive. I can speak from personal experience that my wife was not super keen on me not eating or drinking for 5 days. She's used to experiments that I do, but she wasn't that supportive of it. She was tolerant, bless her. My parents, my friends were like, dude, this is stupid. What are you doing? Like, why would you do that? People had 1,000 questions, and having the group support helps you kind of navigate those choppy waters that are, sometimes complicated with the people that we love. The group dry fasting, also comes with a couple of bonuses. You get a cookbook for your refeeding process, which is a wonderful, wonderful recipes that will really help support not only the stem cells that you've just gotten, but also help you get your power and energy back after you're done with the dry fast. So you're getting personalized support before, during, and after the dry fast. And then you get a free membership to our alumni group. So you can stay on the Telegram channel where we're talking about health, where we're talking about vitality, we're talking about all the things that I love to talk about to help support people during that process. This is a big deal. This is a pretty serious undertaking and it shouldn't be taken lightly. And that's why Theo and I have gone so deep into the literature. We've consumed just about everything that we can to learn about dry fasting as a modality. And there are some differing opinions. Some of the folks in Russia are really firm in their way of doing it. That's fine. That's fine. August Dunning, who really was, kind of brought this to the Western world, does it his own way, but he's kind of changed his tune over the years and now doesn't suggest some of the things that he suggested earlier in his journey. I'll give you an example. So one of the things that August Dunning suggests to break your fast at the end is baking soda. And what that does, when you start to drink baking soda at the end of your fast, it pulls you out of ketosis immediately, in a pretty abrupt way. And he also makes some suggestions around, minerals and drinks that you should drink to break your fast, which are too heavy in sugar that can put some stress on your pancreas. So there's better ways to do it. We also suggest, and again, these are in all the PDFs that you're going to get at dryfastwithfriends.com, is some other sort of biohacking things that you can do, lymphatic support, so that you can keep the fluid moving in your body during this process, which is really important. And a bunch of other, things that have come from our own experience, not just dry fasting, but also through, again, 517 episodes of the Optimal Performance Podcast, where I've learned some things about how to support yourself and how to support your body. I've done a ton of fasting in my life. I've done, probably a dozen water only fasts, 24, 48 hour, 3-day. The longest that I did was a 5-day water only fast. And it was miserable. It was really, really hard. I had caffeine withdrawals. I had headaches. I had insane brain fog, tension in my body. And I was chugging Topo Chico the whole time. Minerals and salts. And some of the ones that in some of the water only fast, which is not really a fast, I was also taking essential amino acids to help support some of my energy. I missed the point. Water only fasting is not super good for retaining muscle. You actually lose a fair amount of lean muscle mass when you're doing dry fasting because you're still consuming stuff and your digestion is still activated. And so a lot of your organs turn on, your digestion turns on, but without the nourishment of actual food. And like I said, a lot of people in the biohacking space and natural health space are doing water only fasts or juice fasts, which are good and fine, but I don't want to lose the lean muscle mass. I don't want the headaches. Dry fasting is better. It's harder. It's way harder, but it's better than doing a water only fast. I've also done the Prolon 5-day fasting mimicking diet. I don't know. I've also done episodes on that. You can go back and look at. In fact, I'll pull that up right now. The dry fasting mimicking diet from Prolon I did back in, where are you? 2021. So it's fasting while you're eating and drinking, which doesn't really make sense, but Walter Longo found that there is a minimum threshold for caloric intake where your body still thinks you're fasting. It's olives, it's a couple of little crackers, it's a bowl of soup spread across the day for 5 days in a row. And I lost a fair bit of weight, but that's not a dry fast. It's not a fast. If you're eating things and drinking things, you're not fasting. And I think that's kind of a fair thing to say. I've done all sorts of fasting. I'm intermittent fasting. I've done 1 meal a day. I've done full carnivore, OMAD. OMAD is 1 meal a day, OMAD. I've done that and I've enjoyed it and I've got some of the benefits. This is better. This is bigger. This is also way harder to do. There is a mental process. So now I'm going to share with you some of the benefits that some of the people have received. Yeah, and there's testimonials on dryfastwithfriends.com where you can see what people are talking about it. Men, women, different levels of fitness, different ages who got benefits. But I'll share with you some of the benefits that I've heard people specifically. Women getting their menstrual cycle back. Also, we had a fella who was 80 and did the dry fast and said that he has been a hunchback, essentially hunched over in his posture since he was 40. And on day 4, walking down the stairs, his posture improved. Suddenly he's able to sit up straight. His back went from curved over, looking at people's shoes, to standing up straight. And we've got him recorded on video saying, "This has changed my life. I no longer have to look at people's shoes. I can look them in the eye." And I got emotional about that. Just in 4 days, he's been curled over for 40 years. And on day 4 of the 5-day dry fast, suddenly he's able to sit up straight, and he still can. This was back in, October. When did we do it? I don't know. I check in with him periodically. He still has perfect posture. I don't know about perfect posture, but he's not curved over anymore. So menstrual cycle return, posture return. We've had insane sleep benefits. People who have been struggling to get to sleep and stay to sleep for years and years, suddenly they feel tired when they're supposed to feel tired, and then they sleep deeply, more deeply than they ever have in their entire life. We've had people who have had chips on their teeth from fillings that have broken off that fill in 5 days. Remineralization of your teeth, which is kind of insane. I mean, even saying it, it's like that can't be true, but it was true. She said, I had a chip in one of my teeth on I think it was day 5. It was bugging her. It was like cutting her tongue, and we've all maybe been there. And she said suddenly it filled in, like it smoothed over. So that's kind of amazing. We've had, again, the blood work that I shared with you. We've had an insane increase in mobility. The removal of, I'm going to say it because I believe it to be true, caffeine oxide, spike proteins in the urine. You can see them after a 5-day dry fast. And what we do suggest to people is they capture, this is gross, maybe you don't care. They capture their urine after their first rehydration on day 5. At the end of day 5, when you hit the finish line and you start to rehydrate, that first urine, you catch that, you freeze it, you thaw it, and then you look at the stuff that is in your urine, and it is shocking. From red mercury looking crystals to green graphene oxide haze in your urine, sludge in your urine. Now what happens is that you pee through the whole time. This whole dry fast, you pee through the entire process because your body has liquefied the fat and then used it for energy, and then you pee out the byproduct. My pee went from, light yellow in the beginning to like a dark brown iced tea color on about day 3. And that was just fat leaving my body. My physique changed dramatically, and it's still different. Like, you can see it in my face. You can see it in my midsection. I lost 18 pounds in total. I put 10 of that back. Apparently 10 is the most amount of water weight you can lose. So if you lose 10 pounds, if you lose 18 pounds, 10 of that is water that you put back on. But that 8 that you lose is body fat. Like, the body fat you don't want in your midsection, around your face, that makes you look old and makes you look tired and gives you a double chin. And yeah, some of the other things, scar tissue repair from surgeries, stretch marks, getting color back. What also happens during your fast is that your scar tissue, because it's stuck and not useful to you, your body scrapes those scars, like stretch marks that, some of us big boys and girls have. Those stretch marks get scraped for energy that you then use, and then you urinate it out, and you're left with like better skin. You also get a full gut replacement. So after day 1, if you do a 1-day dry fast, you get a brand new gut lining, which is, I think, the most important benefit if you want to do the intermittent dry fasting protocol, which is 2 days a week. If you have bad skin, it's connected to your gut. It's also connected to how much sun exposure you get, how much movement you get, and lymphatic flushing and stuff. But for me, I grew up with a not so awesome diet and ate a lot of processed foods and drank a lot of beer in college and ate a lot of bread. And I had some pretty gnarly skin symptoms from my leaky gut for years and years and years. And recently, since my 5-day dry fast, my skin has been clearer than it has ever been before. So you get a brand new gut lining in just 1 day of dry fasting. So imagine what 5 days does. I could keep going, but I think I've made my point. If you are looking for something that is going to help literally every cell in your body, not just the outside, but the inside of your cell, DNA repair, intracellular repair, a boosted immune system, a brand new digestion system, the sloughing off of dead skin and dead cells from your body, full health, skin health, and the equivalent of $30,000 worth of stem cells, this may be the thing. This is the thing. And this is going to be more and more popular as the years go on. Dry fasting is going to change people's health. And I believe strongly that there are very few things that you can do that will detox your entire body quite like this. This is the most powerful. So go to dryfastwithfriends.com, check it out. do some reading. You can email me always if you have questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, my email is sean@seanmccormick.com if you have questions about this. If you're listening to this, it's the same thing. Go to dryfastwithfriends.com, poke around, read some testimonials, dip your toe in the water, sign up for the Intermittent Dry Fasting PDF, watch the 47-minute masterclass video where Theo and I talk about the benefits, which are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. You could do a whole other podcast on the spiritual benefits of this that are, again, referenced throughout history in sacred texts. But I invite you to check it out because I believe that this is the thing. This is the hard thing that if you are ready to do a hard thing that's going to change your life and change your health, this is it. All right. That was much longer than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like 15 or 20 minutes, and now it's 38 minutes in. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Optimal Performance Podcast. Before I let you go, I'll just make a couple of quick announcements. Number one, you can always follow me on Instagram at Real Sean McCormick. That's where I'm the most active. You can follow me on X at Optimal_podcast. There's another Real Sean McCormick on X or Twitter. He got there first. And again, I'm shadow banned. So this, your support, sharing this episode with people that you've maybe talked to about dry fasting or have thought about talking to, or people who are sick in your life, your family members who just can't seem to kick that cold. It's been lingering for a long time. They can't seem to get the energy and vitality back. They look tired. They're sore, they're cranky, and that's no way to live. Share this episode with them. I really depend on you sharing this episode with people to spread the word because it's being stifled at every outlet. And then also, if you don't already get What's Up Wednesday, it's a newsletter that I send out every single Wednesday directly into your email box with 5 bullet points. It takes about 4 minutes to read. It includes everyone's favorite, a conspiracy you should know, not a theory, but an actual conspiracy you should know that's relevant to you in your life, a powerful quote, a discount or special offer on some health or biohacking thing, a link to this week's episode of the OPP, and sometimes I link to some other podcast that I love, and then also a health headline, something in the world of health that I pull out of, somewhere, whether it's vaccines and autism, well, that just got me banned, or if it's, plastic spoons worth of plastic, microplastics in your brain, health headlines that you should know that are interesting, all in your inbox, 4 minutes every single Wednesday. So just email me your email, Sean@SeanMcCormick.com. Just say, include me in What's Up Wednesday, and I will do that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your time. I know that many of you listening right now have been listening for years and years. There's about 1,500 of you that are listening right now that never miss an episode. And I'm so insanely grateful for that because this is for you. This isn't just because I like to hear myself talk. This is the podcast that I would want for myself. So I'm just interviewing the people that I think are fascinating and sharing it with you. This is really meaningful to me. And I know it's meaningful to you because I can see in the analytics that you're listening every single week. That's hard to do to grow this thing because it's being suppressed. So please share this with people that you love. Please share this with your friends and family. Just send them the link and say, check this out. Hopefully this is the one. If you've never done that before, if you've never shared a single episode of this podcast with anybody that you know, send them this one. Send them this podcast where I talk about dry fasting because it's worth it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I will see you on the internet.